and everything, that it's awesome to listen to those just nuggets of absolute America's Cup gold. Yeah.
Make 2021 one hell of a year. So
Yeah, absolutely. Be rude not to.
And I guess we'll see everybody in 2022.
Yes, we will.
Well, I hope before that, Nick.
Fingers crossed. Indeed, yeah, for sure. And I'm sorry.
Keep up the good work, Nick. This is fantastic. Thank you for everything you do for the sailing community, keeping everybody informed and making it fun. So thank you.
Oh, I'm really lucky that it's such a great sport and that I'm able to have so many family members around the world, basically, is how I feel. And I'm just trying to help my family. That's all. Very lucky. And here is about where I would insert a clip of Seb and I doing the soaker in the backseat of Summer's car on the way to the Royal Bermuda Yacht Club. But I'll save the embarrassment. Alrighty, guys. Welcome to this week's edition of Adventures Weekly. We're calling this episode 1 of season 2. We had 14 episodes in season 1. Feels like forever that we've been in lockdown. Unbelievable. And this week is no exception to the amazing list of guests and events that we've been able to support in what has been a very, very weird 2020. So just going to call in the side Nick now. She says we're live. It's Miss T, Tiana. How are you?
I'm good, Nick. How are you?
I'm really good. Had a great week, actually. It's been quite good. Getting excited. The Queensland border's going to open, so we should see some regattas happening up north. So that's exciting.
Yay, hopefully.
Indeed. And that will bring us into our first segment, and we're going to make it really short so that we can get on to our first guest ASAP. What do you think, T?
Sounds good to me.
Excellent. Here we go.
Sailing news in 60 seconds-ish.
I'm going to try and do this in 60 seconds today, T. You ready?
Okay, I'll time you.
I never do it in 60 seconds. It's really horrific. I've already wasted 30. Anyway, it's not that different to last week. Woo! America's Cup. They've been sailing. The New Zealand team have actually been out of the water on their AC-75, so that's exciting. American Magic has made it. You saw Terry Hutchinson in the preview there. We spoke to him a few weeks ago. All things looking good for them to get onto the water by July 20. The Youth America's Cup trials have kicked off, especially in Australia. Hopefully we see other nations start to follow suit. It's 3 years since Bermuda. Oh, that was such a great America's Cup. That was really fun. And now is about the time that we would have seen everybody starting to head towards Tokyo for the Olympics, which weren't meant to be. That's a bit sad. But I did touch base with Big Fella this week, who is the Director of Performance for Australian Sailing. He was going to join us tonight, but he's actually driving back from a training camp up at Coffs Harbour with the Australian sailing team with Victor. So he's not going to join us, and that's, just fine, because the guest that we have on, I was actually wondering how I was going to juggle them both, because not only are they great mates, it was also just going to be difficult. I was thinking, this show is not going to be 45 minutes long. It will be a lot longer if we have everybody on board. And without further ado, let's bring in our guest for this week, who knows a lot about the Olympics and the America's Cup and many other classes. We have with us Andrew Dog Palfrey, welcome! All the way.
Hey, Nick, great to be here with you.
It's awesome to have you from Cowes. I believe you're in Cowes.
I am in Cowes, yes. I'm in the man cave, which is attached to the side of our house here. Sort of ground zero for innovation and technical advancement. Hardly.
Absolutely.
But no, it's great to be here with you. It's just just watching your, I guess it was your season 1 recap, and some great people there, some great friends, and I sort of was getting goosebumps watching it. So well done, and just to echo what so many of those people said to you, you're doing a fantastic job for the sport of sailing, and particularly at a time like this. And yes, what a guest list. Season 1 on the first one. Let's hope you can salvage things from here and save the season.
We had a bit of a run there where we had Tracy Edwards and John Bertrand, and I'm saying to T, how do we follow this up? But it is such a great sport. And, I mean, you yourself have sailed with John and won a world championship with him in the Etchell. So, I mean, there's so many amazing people in our sport. I think that if you run out of people to talk to, you're obviously not trying hard enough. Really. So...
it's such a diverse sport, and full of characters. And I think it's great, that those characters are sort of being given a platform, because it is one of the most special things about our sport, So good for you, and really happy to be here.
Anyway, back to you. So Cows, the man shed, you did say a little bit of innovation. I think maybe what we should do right off the bat, Dog, is have a little bit of a look at what you've been doing during lockdown. Should we do that?
Yeah, why not? Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's have a little bit of a look at this. Now, please note, there is no one on the helm, and don't try this at home. Here we go.
And the boat fast through the water this way, right? There's no anchor out the back. Nice. You don't have to go in the fucking way. No anchor. No anchor.
Cool. I mean, seriously, Dog. Did you get a job?
So yeah. That, when I was, I guess we spent. Let's see, I sort of had to get out of Miami in a hurry, and the 14th or 13th of March, and get home. And before the lockdown, it was such a huge amount of uncertainty at that stage. We had no idea what we were kind of dealing with, and but it wasn't going to be good. And I guess I did various things and various sort of self-improvement stuff and all that, like we all probably did. And watched a bit of Netflix, I suppose. And then I just started thinking about, well, what can I do, say on the Etchells, let's say, to push things along with regard to some innovation, and I envisaged some single-handed sailing. So I fitted what I refer to as the autopilot onto the boat, which is a couple of bits of Dyneema and some shock cord, and because I sort of envisaged I'd be doing some single-handed sailing, and I just need something to hold the tiller roughly straight when I had to do something up the front of the boat. And so that clip there is, I think, might have even been probably the second or third sail, and that's with my friend Ante Razmilovic, who's he's in Cows, and we just thought, let's just have a try at sailing the boat downwind, just using our body weight, and we kind of deployed the autopilot, and I'd say to Ante, that's probably some of the best driving he's ever done, actually. And another one is that when he was out with me again a couple of weeks ago, we were looking at jibs, actually, and we did some really good stuff that night on jibs and good analysis. And, I just like I just like facts, there's all these opinions about what jib is what, and, who did what and what changes have been made. And I just kind of really like finding out for myself and putting some facts and data behind it and doing the scans. And so we had a great night doing that. And then when we had to do a jib change, he suggested he sort of deploy the autopilot again.
Love it.
And so I was up the front of the boat, and as you would know, and any forward hand, any bow person would know, when you're up the front of the boat, there's kind of zero sympathy from the helmsman or helmswoman as regards to what you need, So there's either the wind's either sort of buffeting you, or the boat's crashing through waves, and you're trying to sort of get a little job done up the front of the boat, and you're always thinking, oh my God, anyway. So I said to Ante after we'd done it, I said, that was the best a boat has ever been driven whilst I've changed to jib in my entire life. So apologies to any of the helmsmen I've ever sailed with over the last 30 years. But I tell you, that autopilot's got something going for it.
Oh, that's so cool. I love it. I love it a lot. And I think I'm going to try and bring in another shot here. Hang on, I'm fiddling around. As I do, don't mind me. But you also, hang on a minute, background, need to go to second screen. I want to go to, there we go. Here we go. You've also had the drone up while sailing solo. I don't think I can get sound from this, but this is on your Facebook page. I could download it.
It's got a lot of liberty about it in 1983 at least. Not the hull colour, but that kite. That's cool, isn't it?
It is cool.
Yeah, looks like Liberty too, with the whole thing sort of just, kind of not feeling properly. But
so cool.
Yeah, no, I guess
you've just been busy.
I thought one of those lockdown things could be getting hold of a drone, so I did that, and it's going to be cool. Yeah, it's just another value add for the coaching, and it's been fun learning that. So yeah, a whole new dimension, and you could sort of look at sail shapes as well as obviously starts and boat handling. So looking forward to that. Adds a slight element of stress to the day, you might say, but every landing you walk away from is a good one, like they say. So, but no, it's been fun, been a lot of fun, and it keeps you busy. I mean, it just gives you a whole appreciation for just how much work and preparation and thought and just goes into sort of going sailing for like an hour or two, but it's been great fun. I got to say, I look, before we go any further, should probably say that this whole lockdown. I mean, I really feel for people who have been doing it tough. Who have lost people and were unable to be with them, and it's just horrendous, and that's I really don't want to be seen to be making light of any of that. However, we've been incredibly lucky. Everyone's been healthy in our family, and I'll look back on this time though with a lot of fondness. I think, even though work and income's gone from being full for the year to zero, basically, just the reconnection with family and being around, for someone that always travels and continuously away, and then probably not as focused as what I should be when I am at home. It's been a really cool period for that, and something that wouldn't have happened otherwise. So, yeah, you make the best of it, don't you, Nick?
Absolutely. I like to say try and make the best out of a bad situation, and I feel like that's what this year has been like, and I'm exactly the same. I've so enjoyed being at home. The amount of people who have messaged me and said you must be going mental, and you go through periods where you are really upset about various events that you're missing, but as you said, it's nothing. No, all good. Still got you, I think. Excellent. Perfect. Are we all good? Might have dropped tea.
No, I'm still here. here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I was just checking the live stream.
Yeah, perfect. Excellent. No, I was just saying, Dog, that I think we've just made the best that we can out of a bad situation. We haven't made light of anything, but the innovation that we've seen come out of people's boredom has been entertaining. So we just do what we can. It has. Indeed. Yep. Alrighty. On that note, we might move on to the trivia comp that we had this week, which I'm sure you won't like that much, Dog, because it was focused all on you.
Oh dear. Well, as I said to you, Nick, if generally what I do is quite trivial, so it's, there's probably plenty of material.
No, nobody's trivial. We're not even going to go there. But it was fun, actually. I mean, I can't remember what the first question was. Oh, here it is. Let's bring it up on the screen. Look, there's your beautiful face. Look at you.
Oh, my Lord. Good head for radio.
No, as I said off air before we started, everybody, I said great head for sailing. He's very aerodynamic. It's perfect. Excellent. So the first question was, what is the name of the class Andrew Palfrey both competed in at world level this year and won the World Championship in 2011? It's the 5.5 metre. And that's the last time I saw you here in Sydney. It was fun.
That's it. That was a lot of fun. Fun. Yeah. Sailing there with Peter Morton and Andrew Mills from Great Britain. God save the Queen.
Oh, boy. Keep going.
Yeah, and fantastic. Morty is I don't know how many people in Australia would know him, but he's been around the sailing scene forever. He's an absolute legend. Really, really nice guy. An innovator, a leader of people, a really good sailor, really good helmsman, and he's been there and done that with IOR and I mean, it's all sorts of classes through the years. So that's a highlight. And 2011 with Flavio Marazzi and Christoph Wilkie. Christoph is one of the world's best craftsmen with composites and building the fins and fin masts over the years, as well as 5.5s. That was an absolute honour to sail with those two. They basically spoke German the whole time. I spoke kind of my version of English. What could possibly go wrong? But it was great. I'm getting the tingles about it. It was such a good time.
Well, that's so good. It definitely seems like a beautiful class as well. I have to say I've not really experienced much with the 5.5s, and then I came and hung out with you guys for a few days up there, and then I actually ended up sailing the Australian Nationals in the boat, so sailed one of the boats, and they're just beautiful to sail too. I really enjoyed it.
They are. It's an incredible class, actually. It's been going. Gee, I mean, it'll have to be 70 or 80 years, I guess. Yeah. It's full of enthusiasts. It's an interesting one because the boats are sort of very far from being the same. Apart from they have the three different divisions to cover the time span. They're also, even within the same time span, so what they call the moderns, which is sort of post 1990-ish, I think. Mm-hmm. I guess we finished 2 points behind one of the newer boats in the fleet, our boat being about 16 years old. Mm-hmm. And his boat was reputedly about a foot longer than ours. But you all go into that with your eyes open, and it's a real point of interest. And you have your times, and they have their times, and you have a beer afterwards. It's a group of people that basically travel the world, going to nice places, sailing these amazing boats where you've got every control at your fingertips, and the materials are at a high level. So. The mast is incredibly stiff. You've got total control over your sail plan. You've got a trim tab, which is on the trailing edge of the keel, is a flap where you can alter the lift of the keel, the lifting force. So it's you could sort of go into a bit of a high mode, if you like, but understanding that's going to have more drag. So you use it sparingly or tactically even. Very, very cool class. I really, really enjoy it.
Gosh, and you must be able to bring so much back to the other sailing that you're doing on the Etchell from something like the 5.5. I mean, the Etchell's strictly one design, but still you're learning about those technologies and how the stiffness of the mast could, affect your sail shape and vice versa.
I think that's right, Nick. Look, I reckon that you basically, to move around different classes gives you a more sort of global, let's say, understanding of how things work and what you're trying to achieve. And essentially what we're trying to achieve to make a boat go fast forward or a little higher or accelerate. We're looking for the same things across all these different classes, but given the inherent nature of what we're working with the rig controls, even on the 5.5 with the trim tab under the water, building that understanding of, okay, here are my compromises. Here's what I want to achieve. How are we going to go about it? Or even on a more micro scale, okay, we're going up the second upwind here. There's 5 knots more wind. The rig is nowhere near set up the way we need it to be. But what does that really mean? What are we actually trying to achieve with that compromise, and what can we employ to help us fudge through this situation? And I think that, for me as someone that's been in the sport for a long time, I do enjoy working on helping people gain that knowledge, so just getting beyond all the noise and all the bull dust you hear in the bar and stuff, but to be able to bring it back to, well, look, this is what we're trying to achieve. These are the ways you might go, what you might do to achieve that. And a lot of it comes down to then people say, well, I haven't got one of those on my boat. How do I, and then it starts the conversation of, yep, well, you can do it this way or that way. Yeah, but no, it's cool. It's moving around classes I'm privileged to be able to do that, and it definitely helps.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess that's why you've become quite a sought after coach as well, which was our next question, which was, I believe, Andrew Palfrey coaches which RC44 team, and there was quite a bit of banter going backwards and forwards between you and that RC44 team, I believe, during the week with Aqua. So,
yeah,
which is these guys down here that have been featured quite a bit. We've given them a bit of love this show just because they gave us a lot of love during the week, but they're a good little team, aren't they?
They're a fantastic bunch of guys. You talked before about or it might have been in one of the interviews you popped up at the start about your family around the world. Yeah. And that team epitomizes family, really. Yeah. Chris Bake, who is the boss, the owner and the helmsman of Team Aqua. He, again, he's an amazing leader, but he leads through kindness and trust and loyalty and all these great characteristics. And it is a family. There's guys who have been with him. He's been in that class for as long as it's been in existence. It's got to be 13 years. It's probably maybe year 14 this year. And it is some of those guys have been there with him since the day dot. And some have gone and come back, but they've seen his kids grow up and vice versa, and it's this wider Aqua family. And it's a great class, great boats, tweaky boats, and the coaching element with that team is always fun, and I really enjoy it. The guys are always engaged and always looking to improve.
Yeah, I've come out with you guys and I watched the championship off Portsmouth, and the amount of determination that they all showed, but then your attention to detail from the coach boat was just next level. That was pretty awesome to watch.
Yeah, that's right. That was a good regatta down there at Portsmouth. And yeah, a lot of fond memories of that one. You and I running out of fuel twice on the way back to Cowes is one that sticks with me. Yeah, I don't know what you were doing, not checking the fuel level before we left, Nick. But anyway,
we know boats.
You know. Oh my lord.
Oh, God.
But anyway, the adventures, Nick.
I know.
It's all about
the adventures. There's a few memories. Oh my gosh. A few memories on the solid, that's for sure. Oh my gosh. And speaking of adventures of where it all started, I might have somebody come and pop his head in just a minute, actually, come and say hello, because the first, well, I think it was the second or third question on the trivia as well was about your nickname. And it was, how did Andrew Palfrey get his nickname? Was it that he can only see in black and white? Is it because he has an incredible sense of smell? Is it because he often coaches with a follow the leader technique? Or because he crawled around after the family dog as a kid? And I have a kid of yours. Here, come sit here. Of yours here as well. Oh, he can't even fit in the frame.
Tobes.
I have a mini Palfrey with me right now.
Hey, that's awesome. G'day, Tobes.
He's been out the back at the barbecue.
Hello.
Oh, yeah, good. Is it resting or is it still on the?
Oh, it's not
still on the barbie.
It's not even.
Oh wow! Okay, we'll get that barbie. You know how these Tobe up to about 350 or something.
No, yeah. It's fire. It's not.
It's an actual fire barbie.
Actual fire.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There you
We're
go.
doing it the Aussie way down here.
There you go. Well, in that case,
if you can't see the family resemblance, this is Dog's son, Toby. We've hijacked him out of Melbourne.
Great to be here.
I think luckily for Tobes, he got his looks from his mother more than from me.
Oh, Dad, I haven't got that haircut yet, so...
You didn't get your golf swing from your mum, though. It's been beaten twice by my dad now.
We don't talk about that.
Anyways, family, the nickname Dog, did it come from following around a dog as a kid?
Apparently, yeah. I'd never really thought about it much. It's a funny thing. Nicknames are a funny thing. I guess it's a big deal in Australia that most people have a nickname. Most of the time, it's either O or E on the end of their real name, or it's shortened, like you, Nick.
Yeah.
I guess I just grown up with it. It's all I've ever known. It's what my mum called me, what my dad called me, and people would often ask, why are you called Dog? And I never really had that satisfactory an answer. Then I guess I heard my mum's tell a couple of people over the last 10 or so years, and it's not that unfortunately it's not that exciting. I suppose I probably should work on that, come up with a better one. But,
it's more exciting than Nick.
Yeah, no, that's it.
I guess that's why I got Sailor.
I've had people that nicknames are funny. You know, I have people that have known me for 2 seconds that call me Dog, and there's other people that have known me and I speak to all the time. Just prefer to call me Andrew, and I'm okay with whatever it is.
I didn't even know what your actual name was to start with. I just knew you as Dog.
There you go.
Anyway, T's going to go back out to the Barbie and we'll move on to the next question. What do you reckon?
No worries.
Good to see you, Tobes.
I'll call you later.
Great that you're having a nice time up there.
We'll FaceTime
Okay.
We'll
do, mate.
Awesome. Alrighty. I told him he could have
thanks for looking after him up there, Nick.
Oh, no, you're welcome. He's looking after my dad. Fantastic. It's great. I don't have to look after Dad anymore.
Oh, Dad's been looking after, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, it's good.
All right.
That's really good.
All right, where were we?
Now, back. All right. I mentioned big fella in the credits. There's that question, which was obviously the
seeing
dog.
Devices on again.
I know. It's quite hard to see. Don't worry. That's why I'm reading it out to you as well. What class did big fella, shout out to big fella and Victor, who were driving back from Coffs, and Dog.
Hey, big fella.
Yay, big fella.
And Victor, hello.
What class did they sail together at the Olympic Games? Now, Tiana, I want to know if anybody said laser, because the thought of big fella and Dog on a laser together is quite entertaining.
So we put that on there as a joke, and people actually answered laser. It was extremely disappointing. Very disappointing. 3 people answered laser. 3 too many.
Out of how many?
There you
2,000?
go.
That's all right.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah.
It should be 0.
I love it. I do love it. So there you go. But you did sell the Starboat.
So I had 11 years of Olympic campaigning. I was really incredibly lucky. I got into it quite late. It started when I was 30 years old, actually. So I'd been involved in sailing since, sort of 9 years old.
Yeah.
In sailboat racing, and grew up basically by the water with 3 generations in Melbourne before me, who were boat builders or fishermen or charter boat operators, which my father was for 45 years.
Yeah.
From St Kilda Pier, and St Kilda. I mean, that's my I feel that place is home. I've been all over the place, but I love that place, and so anyway, I was lucky enough to be invited to go and sail the Soling Worlds when I was around 30, and did that with Cameron Miles and Andrew Hunn in Copenhagen, and it was a real eye opener, a real kind of sliding doors moment in my life, where I'd been involved in this industry of sailing for the last 10 or so years prior to that. And this was sort of getting back to the roots of just trying to be the very best you could as a sailor, rather than working on a boat or trying to sell a boat or whatever. It was just back to competing in quite a very high level competition against all the big names at the time in that class, and trying to do the best we could. And it was a fantastic trip. We were away for about a month, got to know Cameron and the Hun, which was great. And we did well. I think we came 7th. And that was the start of a journey, really. Cameron was very focused on, he'd campaigned for the Atlanta Olympics and narrowly missed out, and it was the Sydney Olympics, home Olympics. So off we went, and we were beaten in toward that spot by your co-host's father, actually.
Better bring her back on
Big
the
Nev.
screen.
Hi, Nev. Who had a great team behind him with Dave Edwards and Josh Grace, and we did a crew switch to James Mayo. Had the last probably year at least, with maybe 18 months with James, and we recorded some great results. We made huge strides in our match racing, but ultimately, Nev was very, very good at the match racing, and in the end, we couldn't overcome him and his team. They were very polished. Yeah. And then I thought I was basic when the Soling got sort of chucked out of the Olympics. I thought I was done.
Yeah.
And but I was I wasn't finished. I wasn't sort of happy with that. I guess I'd heard Ian was interested in doing a campaign in the Star, and up until that point, I didn't consider myself Star Crew material, because at that time, Star Crews were around the 130 kilo mark.
Wow.
And Gilesy, Dave Giles, legend sailor, 4 Olympics, I think, with Colin Beashel, who had done 6 Olympics. Gilesy was around that size, and a lot of the best Star Crews in the world were around that size, and I'm a petite sort of 100 kilos, I guess that just wasn't going to work. But I guess 2 things happened. The Star class changed their rules, and brought the weight limit down a lot over sort of 2 Olympic cycles, and so it was back in the realm of sort of well, you just didn't need that amount of weight anymore, and in general, weight on a keel boat's always fast. You know, the penalty you pay downwind is nothing like the gain you make upwind. Anyway, and then Ian's size and my size together would work. So we did a regatta. We did a Star North Americans in Connecticut in 2001 as the first step, and it was good. You know, it was more really about just getting to know each other and seeing if it was going to work, and the commitment level, that sort of thing, was all good, and off we went. And 7 years with Ian was unbelievable. You know, what a fan. I mean, Ian was a boyhood idol of mine through his exploits with the skiffs, and then in the America's Cup, obviously. You know, we talk a lot about Newport, but there was also Perth, which was the Australian defence, and for memory, pretty much every TV channel we had, which was 4 channels at that stage, was live doing the Cup. You know, in Perth. I mean, it's amazing that a lot is made about technology and the advancement and the coverage in the America's Cup these days. But 1987, you know, there was cameras on board. You could hear the guys. Waves, white water crashing over the tremors through the slot, and I mean, aerial footage, and I mean, it was it was amazing. And this is on telly, live. And I guess I was around, I don't know, like 18 or 19 or something then. So, to have the opportunity to spend time with Ian and to campaign, and, it's a really, really privileged situation for me. And, loved it. The experience of, again, just trying to be the very best you could and living that athlete lifestyle for that amount of time, working with great people, competing with and against amazing people who remain very close friends. I mean, you've got to pinch yourself, really. And ultimately, we missed out on the spot in 2004. Colin and David were an incredible team. But we soldiered on, kept going, and then we sort of prevailed and got through to the spot for China in 2008. Ian competed at his first Olympics, I guess. I guess he'll probably do another Olympics next year as a performance director guy. But that was his first and only Olympics as an athlete, and the same for me. He was 50 that year. I was 41. It was pretty cool. And in the fleet that in China as well was John Dane from America, and he was an incredible sailor. He was 58. So just does go to show you the diversity in the sport, and how you never stop learning and all those things.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a leveler. Any ability, any age, any sex, and off we go. And you can get out there and enjoy it. And if you take it to that level, you can be 50 plus, which is awesome. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not like most sports where your body's broken by the time you're 30 or 35. You can do it your whole life and excel at it. That's the best part.
I laughed when the World Masters Games was in Australia, and to be a master in gymnastics, you had to be over 21.
Really?
Yeah. A master in gymnastics is over 21. Your body's gone. You're now
how old is it for sailing?
For sailing, they had a combined age, but you both had to be over the age of 45, I think. So it was a bit more realistic. But as Dog just said, I mean, 41 and 50, and the best in the country in the star class. So
amazing.
Do you wish you had gone to another dog, or was one enough?
Good question. Never really thought of that, Nick. Good question. You know what? I think as far as that road went, I guess there were other things going on in life, i.e., 3 kids, you know, and other responsibilities. So I didn't see it as a door closing. I just saw other areas that really needed my attention. No regrets. Would I have preferred to keep going on that path? Not really. No, you know, I was really happy with a lot of positive emotions when I think about that campaign. We didn't do well in the Olympics. It was probably our worst regatta for that sort of 12-month period. But it's not really what I'm left with inside, which is fundamentally that's what it's all about, you know. Yeah. What shapes you as a person and what you're left with were your memories and the visual memories and that sort of thing. So it's a good question. I did remain involved in the games. I was coaching in the Star with the New Zealand team for a couple of years. Unfortunately, I couldn't see that through to the Olympics in Weymouth because of some other responsibilities and work. But just really happy to have experienced it, but happy also to move on. It's pretty, you know, it's pretty all consuming. It is all consuming. If you're going to, if you're aspiring to win an Olympic medal, you just got to give everything to it, and that's it. Yeah. That's at the expense of other things. Let's face it. And in my life at that age, to have continued down that road for that long, I saw it as a privilege, but it was time to kind of wind it in and give time, you know, mainly back to family and those all those enjoyable things and those responsibilities as well.
Yeah, I and many others that are watching who have tried to go down that track but never made it understand the time required to not make it. So the time required to make it and get there, and then all that's involved and the pressure and the sacrifice that your family also make, I think is quite large. But as you said, there's plenty of other things.
I think, Nick, as well, you know, that Aussies and Kiwis will get this, but it's the time away, you know, and I don't think people in Europe and the US don't really comprehend what it's like to campaign, you know, in an Olympic class from Australia, and particularly in the Star, where there just wasn't a fleet back at home. You know, so really the sort of the best training you get is obviously in and amongst the best people in the world, and so it was a massive commitment in that way, massive time commitment. Obviously, when you're at home, you're training and so on and so forth. But that was one of the biggest factors, and also probably one of the biggest factors in me not really pursuing Olympic type engagement as a coach, just because knowing how committed you need to be, you're going to have to be at least as committed as your athlete, probably more so. Just was not in a position to be able to do that. Yeah,
it's all a choice. And it's not like you haven't gone on to do fantastic things that have given back to the sport in other ways. And that's why it's so cool with our sport. It's so large. We've actually had a few people commenting. Mark Robinson says hello. He used to sail Cadets against you.
There you go. Yeah, good stuff. G'day, Mark.
And also John Zagami, he said there's a guy called Magoo who's still sailing J24s, and he's 99 years old and still kicking butt, apparently. So That means we've both got a few years left, Doc.
There's hope for us yet, Nick. Yep.
Awesome. I love that. Alrighty. So back to the trivia. Obviously, the starboat with Big Fella. And then the next question was, what year did dogs sail the Olympic Games? 2008. I think that's come out. We've spoken about that. Tried in 2000, 2004 and 2008. 3 Olympic campaigns. That is a lot of time, isn't it? And then the next question was, which AC team was Dog head coach for 3 years? Artemis, Ineos, Stars and Stripes. Nice one, T. Luna Rossa. Obviously, Artemis. I do like Stars and Stripes.
Stars and Stripes, we should talk about Stars and Stripes a little bit. So I'm not a particularly good reader, but I pulled off the shelf a book written by Dennis Connor about a month ago, and what's incredible to me is that you just flick open this book, and there's just gold nuggets absolutely everywhere. It's fantastic. In the Etchells, where we're sort of currently going through a bit of a revolution, let's say, of sheeting angle, changing the sheeting angle to being narrower, a bit more like a TP52. Mm-hmm. And he's got a whole chapter on that in that book, and it's so cool to read like something written 30 years ago that is so current for what, say, I'm involved in at the moment, and then that has led me on to Tom Whidden's book, The Art of Sales, I think it's called. Mm-hmm. And again, he was Dennis's tactician. But I mean, man, if you want to learn the basics of what makes a sailboat, go through the water and through the air, those 2 books are pretty incredible. And and so Stars and Stripes, and just hearing Terry, who obviously he hired me to work at Artemis originally, and yes, I did 3 years with that team, and I actually did the America's Cup as a nipper, as a young fella in my early 20s. Back in 1992, I sailed with Sid Fisher's team, with all sorts of wonderful people. And I mean, I know I'm smiling. It's just some of the memories of that. So I didn't continue to pursue that, the cup thing, but after my sort of Olympic journey had ended, through that Olympic journey, I was invited by Hamish Pepper actually to come and work with Oracle. In those America's Cup acts in the International America's Cup class that were going on during the hiatus of the Cup, when there was the court case between Alinghi and Oracle about the deed of gift match. So I had a look back into the Cup world through being a coach to Oracle at those Louis Vuitton World Series events. And it was, super challenging for me to all of a sudden be working with sort of, 17 really experienced pro sailors, and running the debriefs and so on and so forth, but really invigorating and loved it. And I guess, I must have done an okay job, because then Terry got in touch and started me on the journey with Artemis, I mean, that guy, I would just say, just with regards to Terry, he was he was a pretty incredible guy to witness in that team environment. As all these wonderful characteristics, these wonderful traits like honesty and building a team, and he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's quite an intense competitor, but at the same time, and in having worked with him again last year with the Bellamente Maxi 72 in the Maxi Worlds and a couple of other things we did, just watching him relate with his teammates and be totally honest and about mistakes he might have made, but we're going to look at those, but we're going to get better as a team. He's really the master at bringing people along with him, you know.
Yeah, and a great guy, as you said, for being honest and sharing his stories as well. I'm not sure if you saw the whole episode with him, but he basically explained that he was 14 years old when he saw John Bertrand beat Dennis Conner, and that was what rolled him along the pathway to go after America's Cup and to go after sailing. So he is so passionate about it. It's nice to hear that translates all the time. But every encounter I've had with him, he's just honest and generous and relies on his team as well. So it'll be really interesting to see how that all pans out in the next, I guess, 8 months or so. Is it? Yeah, 8 months. Gosh, it's getting close. I'm excited. It should be good.
Are we going to talk about JB at some point? Have you got some segue into that, or should we just do that now?
Let's just do it now. Let's talk about JB.
Yeah. So I was lucky enough to sail with John in the Etchells, but probably exactly the same as Terry. You know, I was in 1983. I was a school kid, Caulfield Tech. There we go. Wonderful educational establishment it was. So Australia 2 won the Cup, which I was really engaged with at the time. But how that entered the kind of the public space, if you like, was amazing at the time, and super. Well, I guess it. Yeah, I mean John turned into an icon. Still is, as we know. I'd sort of gotten to know John a little through Etchells sailing, because he started sailing in the Etchells around 1990. But I had an opportunity pretty much straight after the Olympics in China. John got on the phone and he said actually that one of his teammates for the upcoming Melbourne Worlds, which was about 9 months later, had to pull out, and that was Mark Richards, Rico. And would I be interested in joining with him in doing the Melbourne Worlds in 2009? And then he said, well, the other crew member is Ben Ainsley. I mean, what do you say? You know, so I went down to Melbourne. I remember going down to Melbourne for the first weekend. I lived in the northern beaches of Sydney at that stage, and went down to Melbourne, and straight away just felt a really strong connection with John. He's not someone that I hadn't really known before at all.
Yeah.
And a really, really good connection, and both on and off the boat, and I was welcomed into their family, which was incredible. And John really the thing I really enjoyed about sailing with John is his he thinks deeply about the teamwork. Obviously, he's pretty focused on the technical nature of sailing. He's an engineer, and I guess he did a thesis, I think, on aerodynamics of a 12-meter jib, something like that. His nickname was Aero back in the day, so he was heavily into the technical side, but he put a lot of emphasis and deep thought into getting the best from people around him, even on our three-person Etchells. And that, yeah, just the deep conversations about that, you know, it was really illuminating, and I definitely bought into that and learnt so much from John in that regard. He's a really strong mentor. And his, you know, I guess we call that the Triad family, because the name of his Etchells. Yeah. And through the time I was involved, I sailed about 4 years with John. And yeah, I hope to sail with him again soon.
Yeah.
But we started off with Ben, which was just fantastic. I mean, sitting on the rail next to Ben and listening and feeling his weight movements and just sort of, you know, hearing the gears in his head, you know, click around with tactics and strategy, and then off the boat, you know, that was amazing. And then we got this red-headed kid from the central coast of New South Wales, Tom Slingsby. But you know, Tom was an Olympian at that point. We were in the same Olympic team together in China.
Yeah.
And he joined us in 2009 after that Worlds with Ben, and we did probably a year and a half with Tom. We won the next Worlds again. Fantastic. I mean, literally first day he got on the boat, you could have closed your eyes and it could have been Ben. It was so similar. The language, again, you know, you're pressing up against these guys, you know, on the rail, so you can sort of, you know, not really social distancing as we have to do these days. But yeah, you can feel, you know, you obviously you're tuned into the wind and you can see the waves coming, and you know, you sort of get a sense for how they respond with their movements and stuff, and you know, and listening. It was just like it was Ben. It was quite incredible, and they hadn't spent any time together really at that stage. So that was wonderful, and then we teamed up with Grant Zimmer for the next year, and again, you know, Grant was John's navigator in 1983. Grant was really young when he did that, and super smart guy. I mean, everyone knows what Grant's done since with 11 America's Cups and so on. But he's passionate about sailing. He's really passionate about smaller boat sailing and the purity of racing one designs. And so that was cool. So, excuse me, too much talking. You know, so that, yeah, what an amazing journey there with John through all that. So, you know, and he's had Ben Lamb through the Triad, and old Drennan's been there now for a while. Jake Lilly is with John now, and it is really a family. And John's always in touch with to talk about whatever it is, you know, be it gadgetry or be it just how you doing, you know, how you guys coping and how's the family, and you know, he's often after barbecuing. My wife just in the kitchen, just making sure I'm good for a glass of water or a cup of coffee. Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, thank you. It's nice to be able to talk to the wife through the Adventures of a Sailing Girl webcast, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so I totally lost my train of thought there.
No, that's all right.
Yeah, anyway,
I think it's
probably
like,
enough said.
Yeah, I think you could say that it's like the John Bertrand Academy almost, because I've heard him talk about the people that he's brought in and how proud he is of following them and learning from them as well. I think that's the coolest thing about John. It sounds like he gives a lot, but he also really appreciates learning what you're learning when you've sort of moved on and done other things as well. He sounds so cool.
Yeah, so. Look, I guess I heard him in your interview and at other times, and I've said it a few times recently as well, is that what everyone can learn from John is that he never stops asking questions, and that's, you know, it takes a particular confidence and strength, I think, to go up to anyone in the boat park and ask, you know, gee, you guys were going really well today. You know, how were you set up, or why did you start down there, or why did you go that way, or why did you use that sail today? I thought it was going to be windier. And that I think it does take a certain confidence to do that. But I guess that's a really important lesson I learned from John, and it's sort of I've always found that when you do that, the person that you're asking is happy to talk about it. They're happy to. It's just nice, isn't it? Just there chatting about the sport we love. So that's something everyone could take away. I think just keep asking questions. That inquisitive mind. We never stop learning. I think experience is really a key ingredient in sailing, and not to say you have to be old and bald and have grey hair, but any experience that you have, it really shapes who you are and the knowledge you have and what you fall back on, and in general, someone's tried something before. So, and they've got knowledge, and it's fun to talk about these things.
Oh, absolutely. And then the network as well. I mean, all of the diehards, I class them as, that you've just been speaking about, how much it overlaps from Terry to John Bertrand to Tom Slingsby to then Tom Slingsby sailed with Ben Ainsley on Oracle to, you can see the web and how small the sailing world is. And the family, your competitors one day, your crewmates the next, you might be coaching them the next. I mean, the relationships are incredibly important. So I guess that comes with experience too. Who knows? Very interesting. Anyway, the next few questions, I don't think we need to go through them actually. We're going to go back and we'll let you go and have your coffee soon because we've been on the line for about 100 years. But
I think it's a delivery. I think I'm okay.
Okay, cool. But a few of the other questions that we had that, what TP52 did you coach in 2019, which was Phoenix? So you've been involved with that program as well. We did a bit of a look back, even all the way back to Optimum, the Mumm 30 that you helped with Guy Stenning in Newport. There's been so many things. So, they were the last two questions in the quiz there. But
there you go. Yeah, gee, Nick. Yeah, I mean, the Optimum one in particular. That was a long time ago. Here she is.
Yay!
There you go.
Thanks, Kate. Hello.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? Welcome, everyone. Mrs. Palfrey / Kate. You call her Mrs. Palfrey, she'll hurt you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's nice, Kate.
That's
Thank you.
Good work.
Yeah. Look, again, the one that was a late call up. A late call up for to help the guys in Newport, Rhode Island. So that was straight after the Olympics, I think, 2008. And I mean, a lot of guys on that crew that, like even now, sort of dealing with Steve Quigley every day on a new 5.5 meter design. Nice. And obviously Twirler, who's had a big part in my career. Yeah, he's engaged me to be involved in some great teams over the years with Richard Perini's Far 40 team and Martin Hill's Far 40 team. I have a lot to thank Twirler for. We first met when Sid Fisher's 1992 campaign. So no, it's true, Nick. Guy Stenning, God bless him. That is very sad. But yeah, I mean, hey, it's a journey and a great journey.
Yeah, and T's nodding there. T and I used to go sailing on Optimum in twilights when she was about 6. Would you have been 6?
Yeah, I was very close with Guy's eldest, Izzy. So I've hung out in Optimum a lot.
I was their babysitter for a very long time, those two girls. Sending my love to them. Poor girls.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I meant poor girls that they had to put up with me, by the way. Just quite. But yeah, so many memories. So, I mean, and Phoenix as well, the TP52. Allegra, you did a bit of work with them too, and then Bellamente. That must have been fantastic. So,
yeah, Phoenix was a really interesting project where you had Hasso Plattner and his daughter Tina with a boat each, and there's 45 people in that at the regattas for that program, and there was red shirts everywhere, and it was it's quite a challenging environment as a coach, just for the amount of work you have to do, and Hasso is he's a leader in the IT world.
Yep.
And it's very focused on the collection and dissemination of data, and so that obviously a lot of data comes off, and really my primary job as a coach is to work with the sailors in sifting through that and coming up with the thing that's going to make a difference, both in the short term, i.e. for the next day, and for the longer term through the season of where we need to keep developing and keep improving. So full on, big days. But you are challenged every day, and I loved it. I loved working in that class. I loved my time with Allegre. In that team was great as well. Yeah, it's let's hope all that gets back on track because it's basically, I think, pretty much the best sailing, monohull sailing that is going on at the highest level. Long may it continue. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an interesting year because, and I guess especially for you, because momentum is something that's really important when you're coaching as well. Attention to detail obviously is probably one of the first things, but then getting them on a path and sort of training them to respond to your coaching, I guess. So, would you say?
Yeah, it is. I guess. Look, it's all about really when you pare it all back. It's about improvement and rate of improvement. I think a coach, I feel anyway, the role of a coach in sailing, like it's different to, and the way I'm engaged with teams or employed by teams, let's say, or by individuals, is you quite often you're the last piece of the puzzle. Yeah. It's not like a football team or other sports where the coach is and the manager, say in English football, they're the boss.
Yeah,
they're the first one there, and they're the ones that form the team underneath them. In this world of say professional sailing, who in general appoints a program kind of manager who in general might be the tactician for the boat. And that person does a lot of the recruiting, and quite often it's that last thing of, it'd be good to have a coach. Who should we ask, or who do you think we should get? And so you come in, you don't really have that that kind of not control. I don't know that that's that important, but you come in to support, you come in to help, and so that's the way I sort of approach it, and I really think the key thing I tend to think about when making my decisions is how can I help the team get to where they're going faster than if I wasn't here.
Yeah.
And I let that drive a lot of my decisions on where I spend my time, on a particular day or in the lead up to an event or just after an event, and you just want to add value, and you want to try and make it so that you're adding to the environment, the learning environment, like, the old John Bertrand methodology we were talking about. You would need to engage with your sailors. At the end of the day, it's a people game. And you just keep working hard at the technical aspects, making sure you know what you're talking about. You can deliver the right messages, the right time, and again, it's experience dealing with people, and drawing on those. It hasn't always been easy. There's been the odd moment with various people over the years, which again, just is not easy at the time if it was an argument or but hey, that's what shapes us, and we're all working towards a goal in a competitive environment. But that's kind of an enjoyable aspect of it.
Yeah, so true. And I mean, is that what keeps you going as well? I mean, you're sailing at a high level, you're coaching at a high level. Sometimes you're sailing with teams where you're an onboard coach. I've seen that as well, especially in the Etchell.
I think, Nick, the thing that keeps me going, and the thing that's sort of highlighted in this lockdown, and I think, that you do, I have learned a lot through this period as to, what is it that motivates you? I mean, it's funny. I've spent, I don't know that I've got time to go back to work and earn a living. Kate in the kitchen, have you got that?
From the dog cave.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I got time, Nick. It's just so busy, just kind of tinkering away here, And so basically, I guess we've had the opportunity really to there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
It's not like there's nothing to do. There's always something to do, but
100%.
but it's kind of, there's nothing you have to do.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go anywhere. So I have just reverted to, I've let my path kind of just meander on where it wants to go in some ways. Bottom line is, I've spent 99% of my time doing stuff that I would normally do anyway, which is tinkering on boats and getting out and trying to understand boats more, sailboats, try to understand more about them and get more information on them and sort of explode a few myths. And, so I'm really lucky because I guess that means I do what I love doing. I do for a living what I love doing, what I do anyway, whether I'm being paid or not. So that's pretty cool. But, I guess what keeps me going, to get back to your question, is I really enjoy the process of helping people build their knowledge about this sport and sharing my knowledge. I like that. I don't know why, but I do. I really like that process. Over this lockdown period, you get a lot of emails from old friends or old clients or it doesn't matter who, but they come in and I always try and answer them. Because I like that. I like that people are engaged in our sport. They're engaged enough to want to know more. And I almost feel a little bit of a duty on behalf of the sport that's been so kind to me, to share that knowledge. So I find that motivating. We've talked a lot here about the big names and the pro teams and so on, but some of the most enjoyable jobs I have are just just helping people who are kind of amateur level sailors, but really good and knowledgeable people in their sphere, which I totally respect. And want to know a bit more about our sport, or my sphere, let's say, and they're enjoyable jobs. They're jobs. I mean, it's an enjoyable thing to be involved in. So I often say, sometimes I'm sort of rambling a bit now, meandering off the path, but in the pro sailing world, some of the biggest challenges are that maybe you're not, the people who you're coaching didn't really have a lot of buy-in to your appointment, let's say, and so they may be questioning of the information you're putting across. And that's a challenge, but that's a good challenge. But the easiest jobs are when someone comes to you and says, I want help. Yeah. And really what that means is they've already bought into what you've got to say, and it's a pretty easy process. You're just helping.
Exactly.
And yeah.
I think it's the same in any industry. If you don't need to convince someone that you're a knowledge expert, it's a lot easier to educate them in some way or other. But I get exactly where you're coming from. I love talking about sailing. I would do it for free. In fact, I have, which is why I have a manager to make sure I'm
exactly. I've got one too.
Exactly.
I've got one too, Nick. You just brought the coffee out.
Yeah, that's my dad. Thanks, Dad, down the back.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
probably watching.
Yeah, he's a good man. Yeah, g'day, Rob.
Exactly. But
world champion.
I know, I'm very lucky.
Yep.
Indeed. Yeah. And sailing's been so lovely to me, and it's my family, so I'm very lucky too. And speaking of family, we've had this gem sent through to us from Mark, a viewer that's watching. So that's you, dog, just sitting there. Maybe I'll try and zoom in on that photo.
Oh, wow. Oh, gee.
Is that a classic or what? Hang on, I'll see if I can zoom it in. It's golden.
Yeah.
Look at that. There you are, just hanging out. One from your sailing
I can't quite see the details there.
Yeah, I'll have to send it through to you.
I got a feeling that might be a 12-foot cadet dinghy sailor in the middle there.
Yeah.
We sailed together in Melbourne back in the day.
I'm just looking at it on my phone as well. There you go. Look at you.
There you go.
It was actually sent through saying, I can see the family resemblance between you and Toby. Because look at that.
Right. There you go. There you go. Yep. Yeah. Had a good head for radio back then too, Nick.
Oh, but don't you love that? I love getting these little bits of gold.
That's cool.
When we were doing the show with Terry, one of my followers sent me a picture of Terry capsized on a laser when he was 16. in Minnesota, on the Sound in Annapolis. Unbelievable. Just these little gems that you get because everyone is just a normal sailor. It just depends.
That's it.
I guess.
That's it. Lucky there was no one there with a camera that day in Osborne Bay when we ran out of fuel for the second time.
I know. Yes. For anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, thanks to those people, those randoms who gave us jerry cans.
Yes, that was so funny.
Oh, absolutely unbelievable. But yeah, thanks so much, Dog, for sharing your stories and your passion, not just on air, but with everyone that you do reply to, because he does take time out. He'll be the busiest person ever getting all the things done, and he'll still stop and talk to people and help them with their rigging and talk to them at length about spreader position or, gosh, I mean, the amount of time you've spent setting up boats and playing with them. When can we expect your book?
I just did the winter series through the winter in Miami with Peter Duncan and Ben Lamb. And Lammy and I would arrive a couple of days early, I guess, and get the boat ready and go for a sail and stuff. And Peter'd come down from New York and we'd go and do a day or two's practice, then compete. But Lammy would get pretty frustrated, I guess, at the people who would come up and ask questions, and I just couldn't help myself. As you've seen through this interview, I don't mind a chat, and but I guess Lammy would have what would he do? He'd sort of say, he'd interrupt in a nice way, but there was a little bit of code there, to sort of say, "Come on, buddy,
what are we doing?
Stop talking."
Exactly.
Yeah. But it was all good, all good fun. But what was the other? Do you have a question there? I forgot. But
I just said, golly, I don't even know what I said. I said, when's your book coming out?
Oh, the book.
Tales
it's
of
still
Dog.
in the writing. It's still in the writing. Nick. Yeah. But there's lots of chapters. I do enjoy, as you would have, as you know, I do enjoy the stories. And
same.
It's funny. I was sitting around with Martin Hill, say at Sailing Etchells a few years ago in San Francisco. Every night it'd be a story time, and he loved that. I mean, it's
another
super lucky to. Yes, yeah, exactly. You're a wonderful man. But yeah, it's so many wonderful. Yeah, just that I'm blessed, to have the opportunity to have been in the situation to be able to meet those people and generate the stories is cool.
Very, very cool. And everyone that's watching is like, no, keep going. But we're not going to keep you any longer because we'll end up just chatting all night and I'll miss dinner. So. But,
you don't want to do that. That meat would be pretty well cooked by now, I think.
It's well done.
Aussie style.
Unfortunately. Yeah, exactly. No, but thanks for sharing all your stories. And I guess I would usually at the end of an interview, and I've interviewed you before, I would say, what's next? But what I might do actually is, because I've got it here on file, before we go, I'm going to show this interview of your son interviewing you at the end of...
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You actually interviewed a few people for me because I was doing my first round the island race with the Admiral.
Right.
Shout out to the Admiral. And so Toby said, I'll interview.
Yep.
Yeah, I could do the doc interviews for you. So off he went. So I thought I'd just show this little video because Toby, who we just had on the screen, who's... Is he taller than you, Doc?
He's getting up there. He's sort of 6'3", I guess, around that mark. Not quite as tall as me, but
So I thought I'd show this little one, and a great event that didn't get to happen this year as well, the Round the Island race for the Isle of Wight. Let's have a little bit of a look. It's 2016, I think. This is Nick Douglas for Adventures of a Sailor Girl. Just finished the JP Morgan Asset Management Round the Island race. I'm a little bit fatigued, had to put on lots of makeup to make sure I look good. Either that or the brand new camera, this is the first time it's been used, is taking good footage, which is absolutely awesome. Now, while I was out sailing, my trusty assistant Toby Palfrey was on the ground to make sure he got plenty of interviews with the Fado team, who absolutely smashed the record by over 22 minutes. They did it in 2 hours, 23 minutes and 23 seconds. Absolutely awesome work to Fado 3, and congrats to all on board. Such an iconic race, and the weather and the conditions were just absolutely incredible. A big thanks to Carkeek Design Partners for these fantastic drone images. But I think this might be enough from me. We should cut straight over to the interviews with Toby Palfrey from Fado right when they docked after breaking their Round the Island record.
So Fraser, how do you think the race went today?
We had a great race. We came off the start line well. We had Concise above us, and they stayed above us for the whole way out to the island shore. And our first tag, we advanced on them and got ahead of them, and that was it.
What do you think Paul Larson will think of this?
Paul Larson? Well, he's not the fastest person around the island, that's for sure.
How does it feel to win over Concise?
Feels great. The duel between these boats has been never ending. There's a lot of rivalry between the boats, but this particular Round the Island race to have the Isle of Wight record is fantastic.
Do you think Lloyd will be happy with your win?
Lloyd's pretty happy with himself, and pretty happy with the boat and all the guys. Yeah.
Cheers. So Henry, how do you think this went today?
That was good. That was great. And we had a good bunch of guys, had a lot of fun, and went very, very quickly around the island. We managed to beat our buddies on Concise, so that was awesome.
How does this compare to a Figaro?
It's incomparable, basically. I think Figaro would take about 8 hours to get around today, and we went around in just over 2. So.
And a question from the old man is, I heard there's a rumour that you forgot to turn the GoPros on.
I might have. Someone on board forgot to turn the GoPros on, and there was no onboard footage. It might have been me. It might have been someone else. Very slim shots on the issue. I had a bit of a shocker there. We've had no onboard footage, so the media guys are not very happy. But luckily, we won the race and we got the course record, so hopefully they'll be able to console themselves with that.
Do you think Lloyd will be happy with this win?
Oh yeah, no, I think so. It was a big one for him. He's never done the race before, and obviously it's one of the biggest races in the calendar and around the world. So to win it on his first attempt and to get the course record is pretty awesome. So I think you got one bit of GoPro work for today. There you go, I've done it.
Hello, Mr. Palfrey. How do you think this race went today?
Well, it was an awesome race. I just got the call up last night at about 9:30 and jumped at it, and race went really well.
As your first time on Fado, what do you think of Fado?
It's an incredible boat. I think we had the best conditions possible today.
Is it quick?
Super fast, yeah. Around the back of the island there, going downwind, we were touching 40 knots at times, and
40 knots?
Big waves, and sending it was a lot of fun.
Was beating Concise good, especially Paul Larson?
Well, Concise are a good team. It was nice to finish on top of them today. There's a big rivalry between these guys, but a lot of respect as
Paul Larson's going to be spewing tonight that you beat them.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of respect between the two teams, Toad, and that was, these guys are very happy to finish on top today.
Cheers. Okay, here we are on
amazing!
I love the way he's fishing for the big comment about Paul Larson. Paul's a family friend.
Yeah.
He's another great. He's obviously very, very driven man, but just a wonderful guy as well. And we've spent time over the years riding up mountains in the French Alps and stuff together, and building a bond. And he's a good family friend and stuff. I just love the way Toby was digging for some dirt there with Fraser and myself. So, his voice he's changed, hasn't he? But it's cool, just looking through that too. Like I was out with Henry Bombi last week with Shirley Robertson here on the Solent as they're sort of in the first phase of an Olympic campaign for the Paris Games in the double-handed event offshore. Like we say, there's all these experiences, but
absolutely.
Yeah, one funny segue to that race was that I did get the call up the night before from Brian Thompson, another friend from Cows.
Yeah,
Toby, and I sort of said, Brian, I just got back from overseas that day actually, and I was with Toads. I went over these Cows in the rib, and Brian asked if I could do it. They were a set of hands short, and it was going to be a windy forecast, and I said, mate, I don't think I could do it. Like I've got to be umpiring at the cricket on tomorrow. I'm like square leg umpire at the school cricket. And Brian sort of said, well, what time's that? And I said, oh, look, I think I've got to be there at 11. And he just laughed and said, oh, we're going to be back like 7:30 in the morning. We're going to be done. And we were.
I remember you ringing me. You rang me and you said, I've made it. I'm at cricket. I'm done. And I went, I'm at the Needles.
One of
terrible.
One of the most surreal parts about that whole experience, apart from just jumping on with an incredible team and ripping around the island at pace, was that for me, the wind really increased and it backed. It went from a nor'wester to a sou'wester, which basically meant where we'd ripped up the East Solent back to the finish line at the squadron in basically one tack, all the smaller boats were having to go upwind. And the wind had increased from about 20 knots when we were there to about 35 to 40 knots. And so here I am at square leg, at ride school, looking over the eastern Solent and watching these hundreds of 30-footers and 25-footers, broaching, going upwind, and thinking, I actually did that race.
Unbelievable. We didn't fly our spinnaker. It was that windy. And actually won our class, which was, the Admiral just knew. He's like, we're not even putting a spinnaker up. If we don't broach, we're going to win. I went, okay,
Yeah.
cool. I'm going to go downstairs and have a sleep. I slept the whole way down the back end.
Yeah. I haven't done too much in boats of that kind. I mean, obviously I worked as a coach with Artemis with the AC-72, but to be on board and to be around people like Brian Thompson and Fraser, who was there, and Henry, and was pretty amazing. Just ripping downwind, touching 40, but a lot of time doing 35 knots. And I mean, obviously it's an assault on your senses with the wind and the wind in my hair, and the sounds and the sensations, the inertia of this boat jerking around. But how calm those guys were. It's just another day at the office, and how composed they were, and the level of clear communication. It was fantastic.
Unbelievable.
Didn't you almost lose it at the Needles?
We did. Yep. There's the iconic image, I think, that I still see up in shops in Cows. Photos was
took that one.
Yeah, from a chopper, I think. Was us at about. I think Brian might have measured it. We were about 42 degrees of heel angle, and a thing capsizes at about 46 degrees or something. So had a little moment, but no, it was all good.
Oh, that's unbelievable. The boat. I just googled Fado around the island. The first thing that came up was my video. I was just going to look for that picture. Here it is.
Who's that kid with a squeaky voice?
Yeah, I know. Hang on, I'm going to get that image for you and pop it up. But I guess it's just crazy as well. When Toby was doing his amazing interview, you could hear how windy it was. But with Fado, I've now sailed on it as Bo Jest, and I'm just shocked at how much the thing flexes. It's it bends.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All part of the plan, I'm sure.
Yeah,
all part of the plan. No, it's true. It's a structure, and something's got to give somewhere, and you'd rather it do that than
absolutely.
Stuff break.
Yeah, nothing can break. Please, nothing break. It's absolutely frightful. I'll just bring this photo up on screen. So where are we? Gosh, this is hard to navigate. I'm just going to bring the photo up and then we'll come back. But this is that image. Unbelievable as they're just about to come around the Needles there.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
So I was on the high side. I was kind of lying down on the trampoline.
Wow.
I guess with my head looking out to sea sort of thing. And I was coming back to help with the hoist of the downwind sail, the furled downwind sail. And Brian kind of appeared from nowhere and hit the mainsail dump valve, and the boat settled down. But it was it was a bit of a moment,
Weren't you,
but
like,
that's an amazing image.
And they were still trimming the main instead of the.
Yeah, a little bit of everyone just relaxed a little, Tobes. Yeah, we were leading by a long way at that point. It had been a really good battle with Concise, but everyone just relaxed a little at that point. Like sort of the job was kind of not done. Obviously, we still had 3/4 of the race to go, but to that point, we'd done a good job, it's just that I guess the guys were grinding up this downwind sail, but they were still into the mainsail hydraulic ram, and so as Lloyd was sort of starting to bear away and press on the sails a little more to go around the Needles, the main sheet was actually coming on. But as I said, Brian, got sort of like Superman, just appeared from nowhere and hit that valve, and the thing settled down, and it was like, okay, all right, off we go. Yeah.
So cool. Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Dog, for your time and your stories. It's been so great to have you on, and thanks to Kate for the refreshments and for supporting you to talk for so long. We really enjoyed it. Thank you.
I'm concerned about the Barbie.
Yeah.
You guys, I
He
am.
smells like
It's
a
sort of
fire.
it's weighing on my mind a bit. It feels like the meat's been resting long enough. So you guys better get into that. Hey, Nick, a pleasure again.
Thank you.
Great job. And T as well down the bottom there, not Toby, but Tiana.
I know, we've got two T's.
That's it, two double T. Anyway, again, I said it before, but wonderful job for the sport in promoting it. You've created something from let's face it, you've created a huge thing from nothing over the years, and your dedication to it and the energy and passion. Great job. Long may it continue, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Dog, and for your service to sailing as well. Next week, we're not sure who we're going to have yet, but we have Big Fella and Kay Cotty coming up in the next few weeks, everybody. Oh. So we'll have to keep you posted on which one's which. But next week and the week after, sure to be fantastic. But thank you so much for giving season 2 a massive episode 1, Dog. It's been amazing. Awesome. We'll see everybody next time. Thank you so much, Dog. Thank you, T. Thanks to everybody for your lovely comments as well. And we'll see you all soon. Stay safe.